Judge Juan Merchan said today that he will allow former President Trump to attend his son Barron's high school graduation, but he drew the line at telling Trump the name of the high school.
They are hilarious. Aren't they hilarious? That's award-winning comedy. They make hundreds of millions of dollars for jokes like that with writing staffs of 20 to 30 people, and maybe he doesn't know which private high school his son goes to. How tall is Barron now? He's like 6'7", and he's 17 years old or something. Still got another half a decade to grow somewhere in there. Well, happy Wednesday to you, and welcome back. You know, Wednesday, it's big day at the Clinton household. Hillary Clinton once again waking up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit. It's a Wednesday tradition in the Clinton household. And then she's got to, get out because Bill might have the Energizer or somebody come over, maybe his physical therapist. It's hard to say. His cardio person might come over, try to get him to do some aerobics, but not the kind that you might be thinking of. So a big day there. And also here on the Chris Plant Show on our Humble Radio broadcast, it's Mailbag Day. It's Mailbag Day as well. And I have in my hand 2 pages of mailbag questions that have been prepared for me, and Mailbag Day. So that is a big thing. Lots and lots of things have happened since last week convened. Today is, of course, May Day. May Day, which is what you might yell when your plane is going down. And that's appropriate for the United States of America because, Democrats. But May Day, the International Labor Communists, it's a Communist Day of celebration, and that means the Democrats are going to be out in the streets, maybe looting, maybe burning things, probably hurting people, maybe killing. Can't rule that out because they're the left. They're not just liberals. They're the left. So it's May Day, and they're violent. Actually, it was during the day today, technically May Day, in Los Angeles, California. Didn't happen until way late at night. The violence at UCLA, or UCLA as it's sometimes called. But UCLA, the University of California at Los Angeles, they were having their pro-Hamas, let's kill all the Jews rally on the campus of UCLA. And something funny happened. A group showed up, and according to some reports, a group of hundreds of pro-Israel people show up. I didn't see hundreds in the video, but I did see reports that there were hundreds of pro-Israel people showed up, and punches were thrown, and some faces were bashed, and some people they were described as bats, but they were really, they weren't Louisville sluggers, right? Am I right? I didn't see any Louisville sluggers. They're just kind of long wooden staffs, more like something Friar Tuck might carry, with Robin Hood and his band of merry men, something like that. A big walking staff. Maybe Buford Pusser's big walking stick, his thing, and maybe he's got a warrant. I keep it in my shoe. So International Workers' Day, and that word workers, that's a commie word that is an everyday part of our lexicon in the United States of America today, thanks to the Democratic Party, because you got to remember, just as friendly fire isn't, it's also true that the Democratic Party isn't. Boy, are they undemocratic. They're extremely undemocratic. May Day, May Day. America should be crying May Day into our two-way radio on the console. May Day, May Day, America going down because the Democrat Party is not on our side. And everything that's going on, all of this anti-Semitism, the violence on campus, that was kind of fun last night. The NYPD showed up at Columbia University. And they brought this fun vehicle. Did you see the vehicle? It's kind of a big truck, and it has like a staircase on the back and then a ramp on the front, like you're baling hay and shooting it into the back of a truck or something. And all the police, this special unit, went into Alexander Hamilton Hall there at Columbia University, on the second floor through a second floor window. They really should have busted the window out, don't you think? It had that looked like a wooden frame, and it wouldn't open all the way. I think the windows probably don't open all the way because Columbia University, too many of the young students might throw themselves out to a certain death, and they try to cut down on that. Really, it was only the second floor, but they're pretty weak, I think a lot of 18, 19-year-olds these days fell out of a second-story window. Michael Pierce and I, we'd bounce. These guys, they'd probably splat because there's not much to them. But who's loving all of this? Speaking of, losing at the Battle of Normandy, at D-Day, because, boy, would we lose today if we sent these guys. We'd all be talking Deutschland. Deutschland. And in fact, we're getting more like Deutschland über alles, aren't we? But it was kind of fun when all the police from the NYPD went into the second-story window, had to squeeze through, should have taken a battering ram or something and bashed out the window and given themselves more room to get in and out easily. But the vehicle was fun. I thought the vehicle was fun. It was they should bring that to Andrews, Joint Base Andrews, and use it to put Joe Biden on Air Force One because he needs a lot more help than he used to. The poor old guy, poor old guy. So we had, that fun at Columbia University, and then a riot. I think it's fair to call it a riot at UCLA, really in the wee small hours of the morning, as Frank Sinatra might say. And just a few hours ago, they were still having some fun there, a bit of a melee. The pro-Israel people showed up, and there was violence. There were people crashing into each other, people bashing each other, people hitting each other with big Buford Pusser sticks, and all kinds of fun stuff. I think fun, if not for the whole family, then at least for most of the family. And it's May Day, so look for more violence from the Democrats because they're commies. That's the thing about them. Kind of crazy. Also watching what's going on campuses like Columbia and so on. My best girl and I, we were watching the news last night and eating some snacks and having a nice time and enjoying the mayhem and laughing along at home like so many Americans. And noting that what's going on college campuses from coast to coast, the Democrat Party is writing the textbook on how not to do all of this. This is a lesson in real time in exactly how not to do all of this. From the, start with Claudine Gay. That's kind of a funny name still, isn't it? At Harvard University, is still making $950,000 a year to teach a class that nobody will go to. And that's fine. She was the president, and then she said, "Death to the Jews, death to Israel's." And then she self-immolated in front of the Capitol. All right, she didn't really, but 4 Democrats have self-immolated, so you can't rule that out either. And it's May Day. Maybe maybe a Democrat will self-immolate today. They enjoy self-immolation. The Democrats are writing the textbook. They're showing the world, the country at least, how not to do everything, really. And what we're witnessing is these are our chickens coming home to roost because this is critical race theory that they've been teaching on campus forever. And, of course, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion should be DIE, as I've been saying for so long now. And because it's DIE America, Diversity, Inclusion, Equity, America is their program. What? It's DIE America? Yes, it is. And they're strangling the life out of the country, out of our culture, because they're not liberals. They're the left. It's a totally different thing. But remarkable things happen overnight. And I've got a lot of audio to share with you and a number of stories related to all this. President Trump in court yesterday, and we were on the air when the judge fined him $9,000. Well, that'll stick it to him. Now, gosh, his property in Florida, Mar-a-Lago, is only worth $9,000, according to the judge in New York. So that's really going to sting, that $9,000. But they're threatening to put him in jail because they're the left. They're leftists, and they're not liberals, and they're here to destroy America and, by extension, the world, because they're commies. They're complete commies. That's the thing about them. They're not good people, are they? No, they're not. They're terrible people. So we've got a lot of that going on with you. Now, I've got in addition to all that, I have some, they've got a list of demands. They always have demands, these lefties. and they put together a list of demands like, everyone will have to wear their underwear on the outside of their pants because they got to change it 3 times a day, and they got to release Sirhan, I think, on their list of demands, and open up Guantanamo Bay to tourism because but you got to let all the terrorists go, and they have to be let go in Manhattan, which I think I'm in favor of, actually. Let's empty Gitmo and just dump them in Manhattan. Maybe Ron DeSantis can provide a flight from Gitmo. That's in Cuba for Democrats listening along, 90 miles off our southern shore of Florida. And let's move Gitmo. That's on the demands from the people at Columbia and beyond. Remarkable stuff. So the demands are crazy. And I found this to be a little ironic. I saw a guy yesterday in a crowd, and he had a baseball cap on that looked vaguely, it had a bit of a Confederate flag theme. I don't think it was a Confederate flag hat, but it had kind of what you might say is Confederate flag theme. And it occurred to me that the left, that is to say the Democrat Party, they become furious at the sight of a Confederate flag, and they'll tear down your statue and they'll burn your town down because of a Confederate flag. But they love the Hamas flag and the Hezbollah flag and the Palestinian flag. And at Harvard, they tore down the American flag and put up the Palestinian flag. But that Confederate flag, that's where you've gone too far. That's where you crossed the line with the Confederate flag, because, the Democrat states of America during the Civil War, the American Civil War, with their Democrat president, Jefferson Davis, that really infuriates them, and they want to tear down statues and burn flags. They burn the American flag and they burn the Israeli flag at these rallies. But they hoist the Hezbollah flag out of Lebanon, the Party of Allah, and they hoist the so-called Palestinian flag. The freest Arabs in the stinking Arab world are the Arabs that live within the borders of Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza. Just count your lucky stars. Not that you have a lot of lucky stars, so it'll be a short count, but there you go. And why is it that they're so contemptuous of the American flag, the Israeli flag, the Confederate flag, yet these same rectal apertures are happy to parade around with the so-called Palestinian flag, saying free, free Palestine? They think Palestine is some kind of food, and they want free stuff. They just want free. Oh, I thought it was a sandwich, the Palestine thing, because they're not very bright. And who are they advocating for? They're advocating for the most racist, the most genocidal, the most anti-gay, the most anti-transgender gang of murderous miscreants on the planet. And they've got allies here in the United States on college campuses. Thousands and thousands of young people who call themselves liberals. They don't know what the word means. They use a lot of words without knowing what they mean. But these are the people that they're champions of one of the only groups on the planet that will hang you for being a cross-dressing gay person. They'll hang you from a crane, and everybody will come out and gather with the whole family. They'll bring the kids, and Allah is indeed very Akbar, they like to say. I translated that for you. Allahu Akbar. So we got that. That's amazing stuff. Victory for Hamas. I got to tell you, this whole thing is what the Democrat Party is doing. Oh, I was on my Newsmax show last night, and I called these protesters occupying the Hamilton building at Columbia University Democrats, and the liberal on the panel became furious, saying they're not Democrats. Like, they're not Democrats? They're not? They just disown themselves whenever appropriate, and it's quite often appropriate. But this whole thing across the country that the Democrat, racist, genocidal, anti-Semite, pro-terrorist, American flag-burning, Hamas flag-carrying Democrat Party, I'm talking about the Democrats. It's a victory for Hamas. They've already thanked, Hamas has officially, on the record, thanked the Democrat Party for being terrorists like them. It's a great PR victory for Hamas, courtesy of the Democrats, but it's not just Hamas. It's also Iran that is loving what the Democrat Party has become, China and Putin. That's right, Putin. They're all Putin stooges. They should all be described as Putin stooges. They're doing Putin's bidding for him. China, Putin, Iran, and Hamas are all very thankful for today's Democratic Party because they've joined the jihad. The jihad. And the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which is here to smash capitalism, because in order for the planet to survive, capitalism must be smashed. And they're behind all this. And also, I think George Soros, it's past time that George Soros be charged with crimes. He should be charged with crimes. George Soros, he is engaged in a conspiracy, and it's an insurrection. And he should get 22 years in prison, like Enrique Tarrio of the Proud Boys. So we got a few things for you today. May Day, we're becoming the third world because Democrats aren't liberals anymore. They're jihadis. They're radicals. They're not on our side, as I've been saying for years. We're at 888-630-9625. Ah, yes. And it's spreading like monkeypox at a Democrat beach party. Like a Democrat barbecue. Do they have barbecues? They have dinner parties? Stuff white people. Stuff that white people do. Dinner parties. But the Democrats, they spread discontent as well as monkeypox. They spread monkeypox and various forms of herpes and also, misery. Misery loves company, and that's why the Democrats love company, because they're misery. The headline from the radical left-wing Mediaite, left with no choice. Columbia University releases statement claiming protesters were, quote, led by individuals who are not affiliated with the university. Outside agitators, as Governor George Wallace used to say, as Sheriff Bull Connor used to say. They got outside agitators out there, and they're not going to allow that, except they are going to allow that because inside there are agitators too. Again, yesterday I was talking about this. There are people who are asking, where are the adults in all of this? Well, the adults are actually the problem. The adults are the cancer on our society. In the faculty lounges and the executive suites of these Ivy League colleges and beyond, even the City College of New York, more than 100 arrested there last night. We've got audio coming up. And it is mailbag day, as I said. That means there's mail from the bag with questions, and I will do my best to answer questions. Now, we have all this mayhem going on campuses across America from coast to coast. Nobody's been killed yet, but the left is here, so, pay attention or catch up at the end of the day. That's good enough. The Democrat Party is a violent party, and they enjoy mob political violence, and they are Marxists, and some of them are Maoists. And we have the Party for Socialism and Liberation that is all over this. Their stink is all over it. You can see it on the banners, but we have a news media that doesn't notice anything, or they conceal so much from the American public. It's a little both, because for the most part, they're not very bright people, and they became reporters, but they're not very observant people, and they don't have much of an interest in informing the public or anything like that. Also yesterday, I want to get to this, that Joe Biden announces another $6.1 billion for student loan handouts because they're raising a generation of socialists, of Maoists, of commies who think everything will be paid by someone else, which is what communism is and socialism is. And Bernie Sanders and all the squad lunatics, and honestly, there should be black scorpions crawling over their bones in the wind-blown sands of the deserts of beep hole countries around the world. Also, the Biden administration moves to reclassify marijuana as less dangerous because the dumber and the more stoned a person is, the more likely they are to vote for Democrats. And they know that. And, then Kamala can stop putting people in jail for smoking pot or whatever. So we got that. And the Biden administration is talking about taking in scads of Gazan refugees because nothing says open-minded like moving Hamas into your little girl's school. And that's what the Biden people are planning on doing now, importing thousands of Gazans that they will call refugees, and then they'll murder everybody. And the Democrats will say, well, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And we know how the Democrats love omelets. A great tweet yesterday, really fun. Gabby Deutsch tweeted out on X this morning, White House Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates sent me the below statement condemning anti-Semitism and extreme protest methods. See? And then Gabby Deutsch said, I followed up twice to ask, will Biden personally speak about the events at Columbia? Will he meet with Jewish students? And then, of course, you get no answer. But the McGillis on tweet responded with a very funny tweet. And the response from the White House, it's a mock response from the White House. My son Bo died in an intifada. I'm sorry, wait, your son Bo died in an intifada? It's very flexible. It's a fungible event in his life. Got remarkable stuff. And Bill Maher is telling the left-wing radical Jew haters to, quote, keep marching for Hamas. Keep marching for Hamas. So it's keep marching for Hamas. And we'll get to a little bit of Bill Maher, too. Now, so many different things to get to, because there's one of the protest leaders at Columbia University who's a commie and a pig, a commie pig. That's redundant, though, isn't it? I mean, isn't that unnecessarily repetitive? That's true. You're a commie, you're a pig. That's automatic. And it's a woman. Can I say she's a commie pig when she's a woman? Can you only say commie pig about man? They're calling the police pigs out there, too, the Democrats are, because they're not on our side. Not even close. Remarkable things. All right, let's take a telephone call, and then I want to get to a bunch of audio of crazy people. And I want to start with that crazy woman at Columbia University who is a commie, lefty agitator and not a good person. But right now, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Tim, calling from Leesburg, Virginia. His name is Tim, but they call him Tim. Tim.
Chris, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Very well, very well.
I had a quick comment about the outside agitators.
Yes.
Didn't they call us conspiracy theorists when we suggested that there were outside agitators at January 6th?
They did.
Okay.
They did. And in fact, I just did a story day before yesterday about an outside agitator, January 6th, who was just sentenced to, 6 years in prison. And he's a left-wing agitator. We played audio. We have 4 sound bites of him. He was on Capitol Hill making videos. And he's the guy that made the video of Ashley Babbitt being shot and killed without warning by Lieutenant Byrd of the Capitol Police, who's a racist killer of women. And Ashley Babbitt served 12 years in the U.S. Air Force. And she was exercising her First Amendment rights in a mostly peaceful protest at the Capitol when Lieutenant Byrd shot and killed her. And I make note of that because Ashley Babbitt's alleged crime was trespassing. And I noticed that yesterday, the news media was reporting, the only thing they're guilty of at Columbia University is trespassing. I mean, come on. It's only trespassing. Let's not make a big deal out of it. And I said to my best girl, well, they shot and killed Ashley Babbitt without warning for allegedly trespassing. So I guess I remember when trespassing was a real crime that had to be taken seriously and you could be shot to death for it. But that all changes when it's the Democrats. Am I right? Tim, that's the old double standard is in evidence, again, plain to see for anyone that's paying attention, but that does not include any members of our news media.
Yeah, and I think we actually one-upped them with the outside agitators. We actually called it the day before on video when Ray Epps was trying to get people to go in the building and the crowd started chanting Fed.
That's exactly right.
We knew they were there before it happened.
And Ray Epps has Ray Epps been sentenced to 22 years in prison for inciting violence or anything like that? I don't think he has he?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. So what do you make of all that, Tim? I mean, what are we to conclude as Americans that want to save our republic?
Well, it's like you said, it's obviously a double standard or just two systems, depending on which side of the aisle you're on.
Yeah. And what do you make of that? What should we all make of that?
To be honest with you, I don't know what we can do. Just hope and pray that Trump gets in 2024.
Yeah, and and we hang on.
He's the only person with the stones, I think, to try to stop us. Everybody else is kind of in bed with the same people. Yeah,
I think you're right about that. The Republican Party just gets rolled over. Every year, every term of Congress, they just get pushed farther and farther back by the left, and the creepy Nancy Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's of the world keep winning victory after victory. And now they're attacking the Supreme Court again. They attack everything. They attack in all directions at once. Yeah, this guy John Earl Sullivan, 29 years old, he was convicted of felony obstruction of an official proceeding and of civil disorder, sentenced to 6 years in prison. That's because he made video of Ashley Babbitt being shot by Lieutenant Byrd of the U.S. Capitol Police. And so this guy, but he is a lefty and a lefty agitator who was inciting violence on January 6th on Capitol Hill.
Let's go! You guys are savage! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Now, he was a hero, Tim. He was on the Manderson Pooper TV show talking about how great he is and how he laughed when he said, "Oh, yeah, I donned a MAGA hat that day, a red MAGA hat, and I was fooling them all." But he was a left-wing agitator, and that's not uncommon. And Ray Epps is still an outstanding question that we have no adequate answer to. And if we had a news media, they'd be pursuing these things, but we don't. We got a bunch of filthy Democrats that are in the hot tub with the Democrat Party with their hands all under the water.
I guess we'll never know if there were outside agitators at January 6th because there were no FBI agents there because we were recently reassured by Christopher Wray that
right,
they don't get involved in protests or surveilling them.
That's right.
Any of that. So.
Well, yeah, you're right, Tim, and keep paying attention. And what do? We keep chugging forward. There is only the fight, as Hillary Clinton famously says to her husband every morning when they wake up. Now, let me get to, thank you, Tim. Thanks for the call. Let me get to this woman from the Columbia University. I'll go to soundbite number 8. Let me go to soundbite number 8 because it's where this woman can be found. Her name is Johanna, Johanna, King Slutsky. I'm not making this up. Her name is King Slutsky. King like the King of France. Slutsky, as you might imagine. And it's actually spelled S-L-U-T. All right, Johanna King Slutsky, S-L-U-T-Z-K-Y. Z-K-Y. And who is Johanna King Slutsky? Well, she's one of the organizers at Columbia University, and she is a PhD candidate there. And she is working in one of the most irrelevant subject areas that anyone has ever imagined. Columbia University, working on her PhD. And she's a radical left-wing extremist who's in favor of taking over buildings and stuff. Now, I want to share a couple of things with you, but let me start with the audio of her at the microphones as wearing a Palestinian headdress tied around her neck, which they would use to hang her from a lamppost and leave her there to choke to death. But she's too dumb as a PhD student at an Ivy League institution in New York City, Columbia University, too dumb to know that. But here's Joanna King-Slutsky.
Why should the university be obligated to provide food to people who've taken over a building?
Food.
Well, first of all, we're saying that they're obligated to provide food to students who pay for a meal plan here.
They're on the meal plan.
Requested that food and water be brought in, unless I misunderstood.
To allow it to be brought in, I mean, well, I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, then you should allow basic, I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water? The revolution will be catered. But hey, wait, I know I've taken over the Hamilton building and I've got the janitorial staff being held hostage. And we've smashed out windows and wrecked the plan. It's an insurrection, but we're a little hungry. Could you cater our lunch? Because, hey, I'm on the meal plan. I'm on the meal plan here at Columbia University, and I want some free stuff. Can you bring us food? And they did. And these terrorists there that probably should have been taken out by snipers, they're up on the balcony with their ski masks on, and they looked eerily like the Black September Palestinian terrorists that took over the Jewish portion of the Olympic Village in Munich in 1972, Black September. They murdered a lot of Israeli athletes, and these guys look just like them. Here's Joanna King, the aptly named Joanna King-Slutsky.
They did put themselves in that very deliberately, in that situation and in that position. So
but they're hungry. The revolution will be catered.
Now would you please bring us food and water?
Nobody's asking them to bring anything. We're
That's
asking
a lie.
them to not violently stop us from bringing in basic humanitarian aid.
They're stopping the delivery of food.
You just ask him.
We are looking for a commitment from them that they will not.
The meal plan. She's lying now.
I don't know to what extent it has been attempted, but we're looking for a commitment.
You just asked for food to be brought in when you're answering the previous question, and now you're saying you're not asking for. They have brains like squirrels. Now, her biography for Slutsky here, she's a PhD candidate at an Ivy League school called Columbia University, and there she is saying that the revolution will be catered because I'm on the meal plan. I'm on the jihad meal plan. We should send you to Haiti. Then you'd be on the meal plan. We'll turn you over to barbecue and the cannibals. And her biography, she says, my dissertation is on fantasies of limitless energy in the transatlantic romantic imagination from 1760 to 1860. You should gas yourself just based on that. She writes, my goal is to write a prehistory of metabolic rift. You are the most irrelevant person I've ever seen write a sentence. She writes, listen, Karl Marx's term for the disruption of energy circuits caused by industrialization under capitalism. This is what she wants to write. Marx's term, she wants prehistory of metabolic rift, which is a Karl Marx term about the disruption of energy circuits caused by industrialization under capitalism. I am particularly interested in theories of the imagination and poetry as interpreted through a Marxian lens, meaning Marxist lens, in order to update and propose an alternative to historicist ideological critiques of the romantic imagination. You should self-immolate before lunch today. Prior to joining Columbia, I worked as a political strategist for leftist and progressive causes and remain active in the higher education labor movement. You should be squeezed out of the labor movement. You know, honestly, this woman, that's what she wrote herself. She's a PhD candidate at an Ivy League institution. And she believes that the people that took over a building yesterday are still on the meal plan, and that the revolution should be catered. These are mentally unwell people, and they should really be catapulted into the sea, but short of that, we're going to have to figure out what to do about them. We're at 888-630-9625. All right, we don't have the largest window here, and we should go to another phone call before we get back to our audio of the crazy people, the violent mob that is the Democrat Party. Let's go to Chris, calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Christopher, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, happy hump day. So I had a thought. Trump loves to help people out and make points and kind of troll people, and he could help these kids that broke into the Hamilton building. They're hungry, I'm sure. He could send them a whole slew of delicious Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and then they would be forced to either eat them, which they wouldn't probably, when they realized who made them.
Because they give their employees Sunday off, and
Exactly.
They respect Christianity, and therefore all Democrats, and they're closed on Sunday, Chick-fil-A outlets, and their delicious chicken sandwiches and the waffle fries are just delicious.
Oh, yeah.
And they hate them. We were talking about this a little while ago, Chris. The now University of Wisconsin-Madison is violent and going crazy today because of the Democrat Party's rampant mental illness. President Trump is going to Wisconsin today, and we were talking about it. We said he should do a low pass over the protest in his private 757 and empty the toilets out, empty the latrines out when he flies over. And maybe drop some Chick-fil-A bags out the window, too. But I think doing a low pass in his private 757, Boeing airliner 757, with his name on the side, and, you can empty the toilets out. I think that'd be a great moment in American political history.